I think I was listening to the entire conversation. So we are just, I think we are trying to talk about the current situation without context. Even Mr. Dilip Jayavira said that there is no brains in the government. Just because there was no brains in the entire 40 years of the history, we came to this situation. So we are now debating how to get out of the situation. So as Dr. Kenneth said, it's very clear. When we had a supply side push inflation, we treated the demand side treatment. That is the chaos that it has created. But again, at the end of the day, there is some level of stability and there is some level of global acceptance with the debt restructuring and the program. So that is why the government is now keen to continue with the program, because we have stability. As we with
what kind of stability is that? Is that just a fake stability?
It is not.
On paper?
It is very much a great stability that we have, because we all know the people, the public started suffering not only today, for the last 3 years, and they are coming out of it. And when it comes to the SME sector, they fell flat and they have to come out of it. So that's the mandate of the government, new government, to take decisions and strategies to ensure the livelihood of the people are balanced off or brought up, as well as the SME sector. That's our game plan. But what we need to understand was what was done in order to get a stability from an external perspective. The entire game plan was to save the ISB holders, right? So because the ISBs were given, I think SJB and UMP led government took 12.3 billion ISBs from 2015 to 2019. And I don't know whether discussions like this happened talking about a debt sustainability at that point. Even that discussion was not there, right? I am still struggling to get data from the Parliament research to see whether that 12.3 billion was used to actually repay the loans, because there was no loan repayments at that time.
It was said at that time, I still remember.
You're right, because actually the exchange rate loss is covered by that debt repayment. You're absolutely right. It's same this year.
No, because it was said to the public, it was taken to pay off the previous debt, which is absolutely false. I am looking for data to prove it in the Parliament, right? Now, what we have to do, if you really look at and also, most of the people, I would say, even the businessmen, they were not on streets when the Central Bank Act was brought in. They said, let Central Bank be independent. And we were the ones who were fighting against it. We were the only party who voted against it. Now the Central Bank is saying, my mandate is to control inflation. Sri Lankan inflation is not driven by demand. Sri Lankan inflation is driven by supply. We asked the governor last time at the COF, I asked personally, what is the power Central Bank now has through monetary policy to bring back the inflation to 5%, which is the planned amount. Now there is a mandate given to the Central Bank to manage the inflation at 5 to 3%. And if they deviate from that, they have to be accountable to the Parliament. And they have no clue how to bring it back to 5%, because they only have one tool, which is called interest rate. Now the interest rate is low as 7%. Now how far it can go again? Because nothing is going to change anything in this country, because it's not a demand side problem we have. So the government is now focusing on supply side, where for the first time in the history for the last 5 years, we are going to spend 1.3 trillion as government expenditure, as capital.
Dollars or
rupees.
Okay.
Capital expenditure, right? So the first time that a huge boost is going to come into the economy to boost the entire growth plan, because even in school, we learned if you want to bring growth, right? If you now you said about contraction, now we need expansionary policy. Expansionary policy is coming through government now with a restriction of not printing money. So whatever the limit that we have a limit very clearly given. We have to have 2.3 positive balance in the primary, and we have to collect 15.1% of taxes, and we have the ability to spend 13% of the GDP. Just let me finish quickly. So what I am trying to say is, government has a clear strategy to grow 6 or 7 industries which we have figured out, and the investment is on the people and SMEs, and that will be seen this 17th, and we can discuss more about it. I heard these few things. Now we talked about this safeguarding the local investors. Can we elaborate by each one? What do you really mean to safeguard? Do you mean tariff barriers for imports? Do you mean giving loans? Do you mean cutting off loans? Let's elaborate that, because it's a good discussion to have. Now Tanya, now you clearly said about the agreements. That is why we came into power also, because Indian agreement is not in favor of us. And we had 2 agreements with Bangladesh and Pakistan, no use to us. Then the Thailand and the Singapore and the other one, nobody was consulted. It was just brought in, and the Singapore is running through. Nothing has changed. We have a negative balance from Singapore. 1 billion we import, nothing we send to Singapore. FTAs, we need to be carefully evaluate and renegotiate for better deal. That is this government's policy. But whether it could be done in 4 months, it's not something that, but has to be done, we can agree. But let's hear from the audience. But do we really need to look at the FTAs as a country? If you want to create a sole proprietorship, you need 12 registrations on the ground, and it's not happening. Right? So similarly, these things are identified, and we are driving for a 5 billion digital economy. So when you say digital economy is 15 billion, but services and IP 5 billion. So the unlocking process is what's currently taking place one by one. We have a solid team there. We are negotiating with the industry. There's a monthly meeting that happens through Dr. Hans when we want, because there are some basics we need to get through. Those are the ones currently happening. But if you look at our policy book and where we want to get to, all these things to be unlocked. Digital nomads has to happen here, and we are lobbying from either side to ensure those policies are adopted. But government has a step-by-step process to go. It's going to get there. That is why we have strong people in different sectors. I am driving Ministry of Industries, and around me there is an industrial policy which is not we built. That was done before the government. So we are reviewing it, and it's going to come in. There's an anti-dumping bill that has been not implemented for the last 4 years. We are bringing it this year. There's a tariff policy that you guys have worked tirelessly, and it has not happened thus far. We are bringing it this year. So these things are these are the changes, the policy changes that's going to come. For the industrial license, there has never been a policy since 1991. That is inconsistent. So we are going to make it a law this year. So that's what I'm trying to say. Even for IT and all that, there is bottlenecks, and that is why a consultative government is there. A government has a clear vision for $45 billion of exports, and if you don't unlock it, NPP will not exist anymore for sure. This government mandate is to end corruption and bring country a run rate of $45 billion of exports. And look at coconuts, the rubber, the tea. There is no value chain analysis. There is no value chain strategy. Departments have worked in isolation. Now we are putting it together. So that's what's happening now. I think we need all your support to do it. It's just that certain things, every month you will get something new. So I think the grand strategy is quite clear. I think it's just that some might not hear when we say, because we say it. I think this is a good debate, and we can keep talking about it. We are very clear the path we are going to take is the path that India, South Korea and Vietnam took. There's a very strong government planning, and where the country should lead to, which industries government should thrive, the country should thrive, and how the government would support, how would the government bring down the cost of manufacturing, cost of inputs, where the government will play a key stakeholders. That is where the SOEs will come into play. And entire economy will be run by private sector in terms of doing commodities, right? And when it comes to the local investment,
so the government is moving towards policy and
so it's a very clear policy. Government will intervene in essential goods and manufacturing inputs.
So can I just ask you one question?
Yeah.
Now you say you have a grand strategy.
Yeah.
Now if I am to learn about your grand strategy, how would I?
So I think the thing
how
is,
we are from.
right.
I mean, is there a document?
So the current document, you said it's not worth it, no? The book that we have written.
It doesn't have a strategy.
Yeah, so the thing,
It's a
Theory.
it's a policy, right? So
It's
then
like-
each of the ministries will have its clear goal plan with the budget, the first year of the strategy.
So which is, are you
which is
presenting it on
next,
Monday?
Okay,
Monday,
so we
right?
can expect that.
Yeah, so the thing is, Dilip, now for example, I'll give you one example from my ministry. We brought in all the institutions which were all scattered, brought it in together for one purpose.
I noticed that, yes. It's a good thing.
Each of these institutions will have their year plan, which we have crafted. Salusala will have its plan, Laksala will have. Obviously, you guys can help enormously there. Even today, I spoke with the BCC Lanka, the coconut oil related business. They have a amazing plan. Their sales are going up like nothing. So what I'm trying to say is each of these institutions, and even as a ministry, that is the plan that is underpinned by the budget that we have given. Right? Obviously, we did not consult outside while we are putting that in. But obviously, there's a year and there's a game plan that all of you can contribute.
So we can expect at the next budget
Budget,
that you
so-
will
Which is on
present
Monday.
Yes, for
present a
example,
proper-
what is our
strategic plan.
GDP plan? What is our tourism is going to be? Agri exports, how much it's going to be and how it's going to come? How
So-
our fisheries will come into play? So how our education will reform? One is that if the bank is giving the concession, then it's the depositor.
Yeah.
If the government is giving the concession, it's a taxpayer.
Yeah,
so
but-
central bank governor's question was who's going to take it. Yeah, I think this is a great conversation and a lot of points brought in. I think what we are trying to fix is something that's broken. So you touch everywhere, it's going to fall, from government, legal system, to governance, to red tape, to SME issue, to the coconut issue, to electricity issue. All are outcomes of a periodic, unsystematic, unplanned, as Dilip said, non-strategic outcomes. So we are there to now put it back on track. Things are a little slow, and also I agree our communication is not that at the right level. I think that we have to take back. But what we are trying to do is to put things in the right place and get the public opinion also, and our strategy is quite clear. We have talked enough about why we use SOEs, what is the game plan for exports, how we are looking at essentials and food security, and how we. So the problem is that we have not discussed here today even about 100 odd cabinet decisions we took within last 2 months. That's the irony of this entire thing, because we take also news from social media and all that. Even we are highly educated and well read and all, we didn't discuss any of the cabinet decisions that was took, because that is taken for the progression of the country.
But that itself proves the fact that the government's communication methodology is the problem.
That's right, I admitted, no?
Yeah.
So what I'm trying to say, still people can pull up if any of those decisions were wrong. Chaturanga, this cabinet decision is wrong or something like that, but it didn't came up. But we have to get there. We have to start debating cabinet decisions. We have to start debating the budget, which 2 days from now it will be presented what our game plan is. I hope that will be clearer enough so that we can build upon that. And even for the SME side, Tanya, we have done what's possible in our guards, that we have given a breathing space, and now we are appointing a committee so that individual cases will be looked at, so that the banks will not do unjust on assets. That is something that we could do at this point with the government has brought in. So likewise, there are certain changes that are happening, and I think there is enough opportunity for all of us to work together. I'm driving entrepreneurship on the ground. We have brought all these things. If Dilip also you can get on board in the same platform, I am more than happy, because we just have to get people to get into entrepreneurship, and government's role is to unlock, as you correctly said, the locks that has been there, even import export controls, to strategies that we have adopted in taxation, to registration processes and the IP rights, all are restrictive. We agree. So we need to unlock it, and it needs time to evaluate, it needs time to study other countries, and it will take time. But if any of you have a smarter proposal, we are always open to take it and
Indeed.
do it fast.